Hello everyone, and welcome to our final, or what looks to be our final week of our home learning PE videos. So, I am Mr. Martin, and I am going to be delivering your final week. As you can see behind me, we have our net set up, alright? So for today's PE lesson, you are going to need something you can hit with. Ideally, if the perfect thing would be to have a badminton racket, but if you don't, that's not a problem, all right? Try and think about how you could use something. So it might be your hand, but if you can gain a racket of some kind, so it might be a little plastic bat, it might be a tennis racket, it might be a frying pan with permission of an adult at home, but just something that you can strike with, and something nice and soft. All right, so it would be something really light, so you might have a paper ball, or you might even have a shuttlecock at home. If you do, then fantastic, but if not, don't worry, but that's what you're going to need for today's lesson. If you have an area where you can just make sure it's clear, we're going to use a net, or if you guys at home have got a surface area, it might be a countertop or something like that. It might be a table that you can just use to go over the top of it, all right? But before we do that, we need to do what? Fantastic. I reckon all of you know at home, it begins with a W and it is our warm-up. So remembering our 3 parts of our warm-up, if you're at home, then you can say them. If you don't know them, then we're going to tell you them anyway. So number 1, pulse raising. Number 2, dynamic stretches. And number 3 are fun games. So the first part we're going to do is our pulse raising activity. So it might mean that you guys need to get yourself up. If you sit down, up and ready, you need to be making sure you've got your own little space and making sure that that's big enough. And we're going to start nice and simple. So we're just going to start just jogging on the spot. Just jogging on the spot. So nice and light, and I might turn that into moving around. Moving around. Good. Just jogging, just moving, on the go. I'm going to set my timer because remembering, it's 2 minutes. We're working for pulse raising, just 2 minutes. And I might turn that into skipping. So we're just on the move. Just skipping around, just lots of change of direction. Just making sure arms and knees, just remember, our job is to make sure our heart's beating nice and fast. So just skipping. I might turn that into just side stepping. And again, changing direction. So lots of change in the body shape. Good. I'm going to do a little bit more of a stationary one. If you go star jumps, just out and in, I can already feel my body getting warmer, my heart beating faster. Good, and we've got 1 minute left to go, so we're going to work through. Just going to do burpees, up, good, out, in, up, good job, you learned at home, keep it going, just keeping yourself going, well done. Good, I'm going to change that, and as we go through, just try and make sure they're different to what you were doing the last time. So try not to do the same thing. What else could we do? Oh, that's it, mountain climbers. So we're back down, up and out. See how quickly you can go. Good. Whichever ways can I move? Can we go backwards? So lots of different movements. Keep going to the final 2 minutes is up. I'm going round. And working through. Changing directions, remember, and freeze that. Good. Woo! I can feel my heart beating faster, which means jumper's going to have to come off. So, if you guys at home are feeling warm too, and you've got jumpers on, why not take them off so you're nice and prepared, nice and prepared and ready to go. So, dynamic stretches, remember, they are stretches on the go, all right? So these ones, we might go into lunges. Remember, we're doing at least 10 to 15 seconds on each. So in that minute that we work for, remember, we should be able to get maybe 5 in as we go. Good. I'm going to just go high knees. So nice and light on them toes, bringing those knees up. Just working, and turn it into heels. So just on the move. Good, I'm going to do my arms because today we're going to be working with our arms. So we're just going to go forwards and backwards, and then we're going to change across our body. Good. Excellent, then we're going to stretch and touch toes. So 1 to 2. Good, and again, heart should be beating nice and fast because dynamic means on the move, which means we're keeping that pulse going, all right? So this week, we're not going to do a fun game. I know, you're going to turn around and say, you're disappointed, all right? But don't worry too much about that because we've got a lot to fit in today. We're going to look at the forehand and backhand. So the forehand and backhand of our technique in badminton. So when we talk about forehand's more of a tennis technique, but we're going to look at it more of a forehand drive. So we're going to try and drive that shuttlecock over the net, stay nice and flat. When we use a backhand, it's going to be more of a flick. All right. So what you should have learnt in the previous weeks, all right, I know we've only had 1 week, but it's our footwork. So if we remember, one of our footworks we use is our Chasse Step, all right? So it's where weight is on our back foot and we just jump in and there, all right? So we almost go, we jump and step in to be able to then hit there, all right, and then drop back off. If your weight's on your back foot, what's that meaning? So are we going to be able to change direction? The answer to that would be yes. So if we're pushing off there, power goes to there and then back, we're able to then change direction nice and quick. So remember, it's called the footwork that we're looking for, Chasse Step, all right, and it jumps in and hold to flick away and then back foot, back off again, all right. So when we're looking at forehand, we need to make sure, just like last week, all right, when we did PE, that we make sure it's like we're shaking hands, but we're creating that V shape, in line, facing up the racket, with our fingers wrapped round. All right, we're going to hold just to start with, and you'll work this one out in future weeks when you guys are back in school, which we can't wait for. All right, you're going to hold the pinch, the edge of your shuttlecock like this, all right, and we're going to drive forwards. So as we drive forwards though, we don't want to go, whoa, up into the air like that. We just want to, a little drive, and the motion just up and over going forwards. All right, so that's what we're looking for when we do our forehand. So we've recapped how to hold the racket, we've recapped our footwork, how we step in, and we now need to look for the actual technique. So we're going to hold, I'm going to stand a little bit further away so I've got a little bit more distance to be able to hit over. And all we're going to do is we're not going to stand side on like this, just like tennis. We're not going to stand square on like this. We're going to stand slight at an angle. My non-racket hand is going to have the shuttlecock in. My racket hand is going to have my racket sat in it, all right, as we showed you with the hand. And then we're going to step and drive forward, all right. So we're just looking. So if that shuttlecock's here or it comes over, it's just going to go up and over there and drop in front of you. All right, but notice how I did it. I didn't go up there into the sky and hit the roof. I didn't try and smash it forward as hard as I can. It's just that contact. In badminton, it is more about the contact, because if you completely miss it, we're not going to be able to hit it, are we? All right. So what we're looking for is just maintaining, so focusing on your eye, on the racket and the shuttlecock, and just making contact. And then we're going to look to move the opponent around. All right. So just watch that one more time. All right. So again, I'm going to have my shuttlecock, and I'm just going to push forwards again. So a bit like our tennis racket, it's out to the side, open body shape. I'm stepping, and I'm striking in. All right. What would happen if the shuttlecock come closer to the net? So this is where our Chasse Step would come in. Because if it come over to the net, all right, it just drops into there, I may have to go, there we go, and I push in. Did you notice that? If you didn't, When we get to the end of the video, all right, or if you want to pause it now and rewind it, because I just stepped in, pop, and then back off again, all right? So what I want you to do now is, now you've seen how to do it, I don't want to give you too much information without you playing. So your challenge is 5 minutes, and I want you to practice just making contact with that shuttlecock and hitting it forwards. It may be that adults at home don't want you doing it inside, and I totally get that too, because there may be breakables in the house, there may be TVs, and we all love watching a TV, don't we? So we don't want it broken. So what I'm asking you to do is, if they don't want it in your house or in your flat or wherever you are, all right, think about it. Could we take it outside? Go and practice, then come back to the TV, the laptop, wherever you're watching the video, all right? If you have it on the phone, absolutely fine. Take your phone with you, all right? But what we're looking for is 5 minutes for you to just go and practice hitting that shuttlecock with the forehand technique, all right? I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Off you go. Fab, welcome back. Welcome back to the next part. We're into our second part of our PE lesson. So you should have now practiced that technique. All right, so you should have practiced just hitting back from the forwards. And remember, you don't even have to use the net first of all right? Just using that striking technique. All right, hitting forwards, because when you come back and we're into our badminton lessons, you're going to be superheroes. So, second part. We're going to have a go with looking at our backhand. So it's a bit of the same, all right? It's a bit of the same technique, because we might use that Chasse Step, but we're stepping across, all right? And we're making sure with our racket though, because it's on our right hand side, so I'm left-handed. So if it comes to my right hand side, I'm stepping across my left foot, hitting with my left hand, all right? If it comes there and I'm right-handed, I'm only going to use what technique? It would be the forehand, all right, so the forearm drive, because it's on that side. So how do we know then? Let me ask you the question, for those of you that may be older and that do understand what I'm saying. How do we know what technique to use? That might stump some of you. So we know if it's on our racket hand side, so if there's a black line here, I'm stood in the middle of it. If it comes to this side, I'm using that forearm drive. But if it comes to my non-racket side, I'm might use that backhand, because I might not have time to then come in and do that. All right, so we would use backhand, forehand. If I was right-handed, like a lot of you probably are, all right, it would be forehand on the right side, back, hit, all right, with our left side. Does that make sense? All right, hopefully it does. If not, when you come back into school, for those of you that we do teach, it will be easy for us to be able to work with you, all right, because we can just talk you through it. And if you don't, then you will have your teachers at school that can talk you through it when you regain the full back to school, all right? So, all we're going to do is I'm going to show you it. So the ball, the shuttlecock, so remember there's a ball at the end of it, all right, and then we've got the really, a yellow one, all right, yellow flimsy bit at the end. So, if it comes to my right hand side, so it comes in here, I'm going to step, and then I'm going to pop it over. So remember, it's that step through, alright, so I'm going to go stepping onto my left, and then striking forwards, okay, when we do that. So, just to recap that, in we come, shuttlecock comes over to my non-racket side, I step, and then I strike over. For you right hand, I'm going to demonstrate with my right hand, and we'll see how well this goes, because my right hand and my right foot are my less favoured feet and hand. So, right hand, it's going to come across to my left side, so remember we're working backhand technique, so it comes over, or, see, I haven't quite got as much power, so that's my improvement, alright, that's where I need to personally improve. We're going to go again, so it comes over, there we go, good, see, I hit it to you, alright. To see whether you can do it. So, in a game there, we would look to rally and get it back and forward. So, your challenge, if you choose to accept it, and hopefully you do, can you go away 5 minutes, all right, at home, and again, remember what I said, out to the garden, out to the front door, all right, to the front area if you have one, to go and practice this. It doesn't have to be against the wall if you don't want it to. It doesn't have to be anywhere that is more complicated than somewhere where it has a little bit of space. Because all you are practicing is your technique, your contact, your stepping and striking. Whether that be the forearm drive or the backhand flick, all right, we're just looking at those two skills. So I want you to go away 5 minutes, practice that technique, then come back for the final bit. Fantastic. Final part of our PE lesson. So what we're looking at this time is, as we play, I'm hoping you might have someone at home. You may not always have someone, they may not always be available, so pick your moments right. Make sure whoever the adult is at home or the sibling is at home, make sure they're in a happy mood before you ask, because that's always the best way to get what you want. Make sure that they're happy, all right, and make sure that you've been doing everything you should, and hopefully someone will be really supportive at home and help you out. So we've learned backhand and forehand today. That's two skills. You've been super amazing. So what I want you to practice now is, can we look at a rally? All right, so a rally, remember, is when we're going backwards and forwards using our net. All right, almost like we've got a wall the other side, our net wall game. All right, and we're looking forehand, backhand techniques to be able to strike and play backwards and forwards over a net, over a table, over a set of maybe garden bricks, over a wall, anything you've got at home, any way you are doing it. All right, so are we ready? All you're going to practice is you're going to look to play backwards and forwards. As you look to play backwards and forwards, think about your technique. Is it on your racket side? Is it on your non-racket side? Because that will to help you make the decision. Forehand, backhand. Forehand, backhand. Remember, if you're right-handed, it's forehand, backhand. Forehand, backhand. Remember your chasse step. So we step in to strike. All right. Step in to flick over. Making sure that you guys at home are making the right decisions. I don't mind how long you want to do to play this. You might want to go and spend the next hour with a sibling, with a parent, because badminton, parents do quite love it. Because you're not hitting something really hard, so there's less chance of damaging anything, and, alright, it doesn't go as far, so we're just doing these little movements around an area where we're working, alright? So, at least 10 minutes though, I want you to challenge yourself. So we've done 5 minutes working on our forehand, practicing, 5 minutes working on our backhand flick. We've done our warm-up, there's another 5 minutes, so you've done 15 minutes, and now I want you to at least another 10 minutes. If you want to extend that and go longer, because I reckon you're going to enjoy it, or most of you will, alright, and if you aren't, it might be because you can't do it yet, alright, so keep practicing because you want to challenge yourself to improve it, because that light, when it goes on in your head, when you've done it, you are going to be really pleased with yourself. So go and spend a good 10 minutes playing with that skill, alright, and then come back, alright, and we'll be here waiting to play again. Fantastic. Hopefully you've had some fun with that, alright? Don't worry if you haven't come back to join us because you're having so much fun wherever you are, or you can finish the video at a later time. That is our forehand and backhand technique in badminton, and remember, it is the skills that we can transfer from tennis to badminton, alright? So we've got our forehand strike and our backhand strike, alright? They're two skills that we can use in both, so please remember that it is about the skills and transferring them from one to the other, not just about the sport, all right? We look at the transferable skills so you can have various different skills that you can use, and hopefully that'll make you better in more than one sport, all right? Just remember the techniques that we're going through today and we are going throughout may not be necessarily the ones that you teach if you go to a badminton club, because remember, they are looking at the sport, we're just looking at the general skills for our PE lessons. All right. Hopefully you've had fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed our badminton. When you come back into school, next lesson we'll be working on something new. All right. So please make sure you take care of yourselves at home, and we can't wait to see you next week for some real live PE lessons. Take care for now.